You don't want me to spread it out like Jake machining? Okay. Testing? Okay. Hey guys, Michael Riggs here with Atlas Development Group, and today I'm going to show you a little bit more in depth on how I resize brass using our ADG Fat-Boy series dies. So I have a box of 765 PRCW brass. It is a once fired brass, and the reason that I'll be using the ADG 1.25" Fat-Boy die is for this extra material that we have on the base. So an 1.25" die allows you to have more material around the base of the shell, and that allows us to resize the brass down towards the base with more material, less spring back of the die, and we don't have to worry about clickers or ejection issues that way. First thing I'm going to do is choose a comparator gauge, and I want this to fit halfway between the neck and the shoulder of the shell. So you can see here, this one is much too small. The gauge only falls at the top of the neck. And then I'll move to one that is the correct size. This one falls halfway down the shoulder and the neck. So all you do is put it in your calipers. And then I zero at that measurement. Next thing I do is get a measurement for 3 pieces of fired brass. So I'm looking at 1.683 for the first. Grab a second one out. .684. And my third one, 1.684 again. I'll just double check that first one. 1.683. So I'm going to use the larger of the lengths with this. They're all within 1 thou of each other. So I'm going to treat 1.684 as my number, and I want to set the brass shoulder back about 2 to 3 thou from that. My target length is going to be 1.681 to 1.682. And this is all a comparator. You know, you're not going to get this exact number for your brass necessarily. Different gauges, you're going to get different results. And you'll actually see, I'll take a measurement of unsized and resized, and we'll look at just how much we're resizing the brass in the base. The first thing I'm going to do is set up my die. So I just have a rock chucker press here, and we have an 1.25" to 7/8 bushing that comes standard with it. So all you'll need to do is take that out, and then we'll set up our die. I already have the correct shell holder in here, so I'm just going to run the press arm all the way down, and then I'll get it started. And all I'm looking for is a good firm touch, and then I'm going to back it off just by a tiny bit, maybe like a 1/16 of a turn, and I'll go ahead and lower this bottom locking ring to set my die position so it doesn't move. And then the reason that we set the die and then we backed it off is so we can approach this overall length that we want, our length of shoulder, without surpassing it, because we can always bump the shoulder a little bit more, but we can't go back once we've gone too far. Okay, so now that I have my parts measured and my die set up, I'm going to choose what bushing that I want to run. So the ADG Fat-Boy series dies come with 3 bushings out of the box. So we have a nominal, which we would recommend for our brass, as well as a +1 thou and a -1 thou. So you can really play with your neck tension and get that exactly where you want it. So what I try to normally run is a 1 thou interference between the bullet OD and the brass ID. So I want my brass undersized for the bullet diameter by 1/1000th of an inch. And that's generally where I try to place my neck tension. I haven't played with that too much personally, but I've always had very good and very consistent loads just using ADG brass. So just put it with the text up, you drop it in, and then you tighten this back down. Then you're ready to press. Now it's time to resize the first piece of brass. And now it's time to lube a few of the pieces. So I'm just using a standard lube pad with RCBS lube. And you want to apply an ample amount, but it doesn't have to be too much. All you want is the case not to get stuck in the die. So I'll grab my first piece and I'll lube the side and just a little bit on the mouth, but I want to be careful not to put lube on the shoulder because we don't want to hydroform it at all. So press the first piece and then we'll take our measurement. So I have 1.68, so I went a little bit too far on this, and it's a good thing that I make as much brass as I can possibly use, but I would advise that you maybe back off a little bit more. That way you don't have to burn a piece of brass. So I'm just gonna back this off a little bit more, and we'll snug her down, and we'll take a second piece of brass and lube it up and test again. So I actually took it off too far that time. So we'll find our happy place somewhere in the middle between those two. And because I didn't set the shoulder back too far, I can just use the same piece of brass. So this one is a perfect 2.5 thou setback, and I will lock my die in right where I want it. And then we'll resize the next one. So since your die is locked in, everything should be the same, but I would always recommend checking each piece of brass, especially as you start, just to make sure that nothing's moving around on you. And there we go, exact same measurement. So 2.5 thou setback, I'm perfectly happy with that, and I can go about resizing all my brass. So I've resized my pieces of brass, and I want to show you just how much work that the ADG Fat-Boy series die does. So here I have a micrometer. This is a once fired piece of brass that I have not done a resizing operation. And you can see that I have a 0.53415 diameter there at the base. And I'm just going to lube this. And then I'll press it and remeasure, and my diameter is now 0.53110, which for a PRC cartridge, that's right where you want it. So you're resizing with this Fat-Boy series die all the way down to the base, and with this extra material, you're not gonna have to worry about clickers or any type of like heavy primary extraction whenever you're, especially when you're in competition shooting. You can't have that extra time of knocking the bolt open. So this minimizes your risk of having clickers and just resizing the brass fully the whole length. So with that, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time, and leave a comment if you learned something or if you do something a little bit different. We'd like to hear what you guys do. Appreciate your time, and make sure you subscribe. Thanks, guys.